So a genetically modified organism is any organism whose genetic material has been altered using genetic engineering technique. So if you see the genetically modified crop, it's a controversial topic actually, even though it has a lot of advantages, benefit to the society or to the scientist in so many cases. Even now, it faces a lot of ethical issues and so on. We'll see later one by one. This presentation will analyze the positive and negative aspects of genetically modified crops. And coming to the history of genetically modified organisms, it is believed that 1980s transgenic plants are started in China. So after many years of research in 1988, first transgenic plants producing a pharmaceutical product. After many years, like 1995, genetically modified corn hits the market in the USA. USA is the first and foremost country in the GM crop research as well as in production and marketing. And the next year, 1996, soybean was available in US market. And after 2 years in 1998, first GM labeling rules introduced to provide consumers with information regarding the use of GM ingredients in food. Because before that, there were no questions arised like GM product or non-GM products. Because when we started introducing transgenic plants or GM crop plants, obviously many people opposed, especially environmentalists and some NGOs, even some governments opposed the usage or marketing of GM products in the world. So they were insisting to label like bioengineered or derived from bioengineering or some label like GM or GMO like that. And over the years, science has developed a lot in the GM research, and now we have a lot of products in genetically modified crop plants as well as other plants. Coming to the introduction of GM plant, the first crop introduced was Flavor Saver tomato in USA in 1995, and if you see now, it's more than 20 crops approved for commercial cultivation in different countries. Out of 20 crop plants, only 5 crop plants were commercialized, and they are cotton, sugar beets, soybean, corn, canola. Other crop plants are also initiated for cultivation like papaya, squash, rice, and alfalfa in USA and also other countries. So they are also introduced in various countries for various reasons. If you see the countries, those who are cultivating GM crops include USA, Brazil, Argentina, Canada, India, China, Japan, European Union, South Africa, etc., etc. And if you see the diagram here, 5 major crops I have given. It's cotton, sugar beet, soybean, corn, canola. So these are the 5 major crops cultivated in US, and most of the crop varieties are herbicide tolerant. Okay, so the genetically modified to herbicide tolerant, and some are insect resistant, and some others are like papaya is virus resistant, and alfalfa and summer squash are also herbicide tolerant. And coming to the approved and commercialized GMOs, so I was telling about 5 major crop plants. We'll see one by one. At least 50% of cotton grown in the world is genetically modified. And 90% of sugar beets. So from that only they make sugar, not 100%, 50% of the sugar is made through that, or genetically modified sugar beet is the base. And more than 93% of soybeans in USA produces are is genetically modified. And in case of corn, more than 70% grown in USA has been genetically modified. And in case of canola, 87% of canola grown commercially and 80% of wild canola is genetically modified. So these are the major crops available as of now. In addition to that, we also have other crop plants that are genetically modified organisms, and they are also approved by the governments, FDA and other agencies. But even now, we face certain problems due to that. So coming to papaya, papaya is also genetically modified. Not all Hawaiian papaya, even many organic crops are contaminated because of this genetically modified. And this will make unwanted or unexpected problems in the near future. And coming to GMO squash, experts say that GMO squash have blended with wild squash. So there is a, it's like adulteration. So they are mixing wild variety and GMO variety, even though people or farmers didn't like, so they are doing it for making money. And coming to GM rice has been approved. Okay, it's we know about the golden rice, so which is made for beta carotene production, but it is not yet being used commercially. Okay, because people from all over the world oppose the production of GMO rice. That is the main reason. Then GM alfalfa is contaminating non-GMO alfalfa crop at a rapid rate. Okay, so we have GM plant as well as normal plants. When we grow together or the nearby fields, so they are obviously contaminating the alfalfa field. So then there will be a problem, unexpected problem is there. It is reported in some places. And coming to tomato, tomato got approval by governments, but not being grown commercially till now. But whatever tomato available now is hybrid, not the GMOs. And in addition to that, some other crop varieties are tried for approval, but they didn't get approval. For example, wheat variety. So wheat variety were used for testing in the field, but during that time also they were contaminating the field with other plants, other wheat varieties. And next to wheat, peas. Peas have been genetically modified but not approved or available. Okay, so as of record, there is no approval for these pea varieties. So these are the plant varieties or crop varieties available as of now. And here I didn't mention about yeast and salmon because they are not plants coming under the plants. So salmon is the people are trying to get approval for salmon, and maybe in future they may get it. Likewise, in case of yeast, they got approval. They are used for wine production. This is proper way they get. And coming to the global share percentage of GM planted crop plants, USA is on the top. Actually, 40% of the share goes to United States. So US is the #1 country to produce GM crop varieties. Next to United States of America, Brazil. So it produces 26% of genetically modified plants. Then Argentina, 12% of genetically modified crop varieties have been cultivated. and Canada also produces to some extent like 7%. Our country in India, we produce 6% of genetically modified crops, mostly cotton. Rest of the world produces 9% of the genetically modified food items or crop plants, and it includes South Africa, Japan, European Union, China also. And coming to the status of GM crop in India, as of now, India approved only to BT cotton, that is named Bolgard 1, so which provided immunity against the pink bollworm, and developed by Monsanto, was given permission to go ahead in the year 2002, and in 2006 they have released one more variety called Bolgard 2. It's a improved or better variety to India. As of now, India is the first producer of cotton, largest producer of cotton in the world. Apart from BT cotton, we don't have any other variety. Even though they have applied for BT brinjal and mustard, they have not yet been approved, or they didn't get any permission from the government. So this is the data on cotton production in India, 5.8 million tons in the year 2016 to 17. Next to India, China and US are the major producer of cotton. Coming to the technique, so what is the necessity of transgenic crops? So when you see the transgenic plant production, before that we were doing traditional breeding, or otherwise known as conventional breeding, by which we take a donor plant and we mix with a commercial plant variety. We will get a new plant variety that will have desired gene as well as other genes. But when we apply plant biotechnology or transgenic technique or genetic engineering technique, so we don't take other genes. Only desired gene will be taken from the organism. It may be from any organism like bacteria or other plants, closely related plants or distantly related plants. We take the gene and we incorporate into the commercial plant. We will get the improved commercial plant variety. So this is the advantage. We don't add anything extra other than the desired gene. This is the advantage. So we have already discussed about plant transformation methods in the last class. So like physical methods, chemical methods, biological methods, and in planta. So that's why I don't want to discuss more on this, because you all know about this already. And in brief, I'll tell you the simple technology of how the GM crop or transgenic plants are developed. So it involves the procedure or steps like identifying gene. It's a desired gene or a desired trait from a plant or animal or microorganism, and from the desired trait we make lot of copies of the gene, multiple copies of the gene production, and then we transfer the gene to through bacteria or through other physical method or chemical method to the plant tissue. Once the plant is incorporated, the DNA, so we'll get the single plant. From that single plant, we can able to produce multiple plants. Then we can produce thousands, lakhs, etc., etc. So once we can produce the regenerate plant, that is transgenic plant, we go for lab analysis and safety testing for environmental analysis, environmental safety, etc. And then we will finalize our approval, and then it will go for field test and approval by government agencies, and finally monitoring of safety is the last. Okay, so these are the procedures we use we used to follow. So the picture shows two types of methods, transgenic methods. One is agrobacterium mediated gene transfer. Another one is gold particle coated with DNA, gene method. So both way, so we isolate the gene from a host, and then it is inserted to the TA plasmid in case of biological methods, agrobacterium method, and the incorporated TA plasmid into the bacterium, from the bacterium to the plant cell. So once it is reached, we will check it. The other way, through gene method, the genes are isolated and multiplied, coated with gold particles, and then cells shoot with gene and DNA incorporated into plant cell chromosomes. Okay? So it is expected that at least very few percentage, very little percentage of the gold coated DNA particle may incorporate with the plant chromosomes. So they will be screened and selected for their incorporation, transformation. Once it is transformed, we will see, or we will select the transformed cells using the selectable markers, and then we will go for cultivation, like single cell to callus, and then plant, whole plant, and the whole plant will go for further analysis, like approval, monitoring in the safety, mass cultivation in the field, etc. So this is the basic methodology to incorporate any foreign gene into a plant. So need of transgenic crops. So what is the necessity of transgenic crop production in the present world? So we are facing a lot of problems, like pest problems, herbs problem, otherwise called weed problem, and nutritional problem. So we have plant, they produce yield, food grains or tuber, whatever it may be, but their nutrient content may not be sufficient for our requirement, and the quality may not be sufficient for our requirement, and we also need more yield. Okay, so due to pest problem, it may be any pest, it may be insect or microorganism or herb, due to so many problems, environmental stress, so many things. So our yield has reduced to some extent. To tackle all these things, we are in a position to solve all the problems. Okay, even sometimes we may need to produce a lot of pharmaceutical things like vaccines through biotechnology methods. One of the method is this. Okay, coming to the plant pest management. Pest management, here it is given only one example. So BT cotton. BT cotton, BT is nothing but Bacillus thuringiensis. It was discovered by Ishvatari in 1901. It's a bacterium which produces insecticidal crystal protein, also known as cryprotein. They are a class of endotoxin. So the toxin is toxic to the worms, not the plants. So we do our plant biotechnology technique. It's a transgenic technique, and so the worms ingest the sap, and the sap will be solubilized, and so they are acting as a proteolytic effect. So they lyse the protein in the gut content and binding to target site. Target site is nothing but the gut only, and then formation of toxic lesions. That toxic substance will kill the insect. This is how the worms are killed. So insects eats BT crystal and spores. So BT crystal is nothing but cryprotein. They are toxic, and without knowing their toxic effect, the worms are consuming the leaves or stem, whatever it may be, and then the toxic substance bind to specific receptors in the gut, and the insects stop eating because of the toxic impact. The crystals cause the gut wall to break down, allowing spores and normal gut bacteria to enter the body. So what is happening is, it's very interesting. So this toxic substance will lyse the protein of the gut wall. Once the gut wall is broken, so native microflora will get enter into the tissue of the worm. Then they will infect the whole body. Then they will die. So this is how. So they are killed. Okay. This is the mechanism of PT cotton. So the gallworm. And next, herbicide tolerance. Over 63% of genetically modified crops grown globally have herbicide tolerance traits. In addition to pesticide, so they also include herbicide tolerant genes. Herbicide tolerance is achieved through the introduction of a gene from a bacterium which conveying resistance to some herbicide in situations where weed pressure is high. The use of such crop has resulted in a reduction in the quality of the herbicides used. So we normally use herbicide to kill only the weeds, not the commercial plants or crop plants. So the mode of action of herbicide is to kill all the weeds. So if we insert the gene which resists the weedicide or herbicide, obviously they will survive, only the weeds will be killed. Okay. So by accepting this concept or by understanding the concept, so we have introduced the gene of interest, and through plant biotechnology transformation, we try insert the gene and then we will get a herbicide resistant plants. In the same way, insect resistant line, that is cryoprotein 1AB gene, and other line herbicide tolerant line EPSPS gene, both are incorporated. Finally we get herbicide resistant as well as insecticide resistant. So this added advantage of plant biotechnology. It's a genetic modification or GM crop. Coming to the crops in development for improved nutrient composition, I have given some of the pictures, and there are so many research is going on to improve the nutrient composition or to improve the nutrient content. It may be some of the nutrients may not be available to our to us through a normal case. So when we add certain genes like golden rice, so we can able to get more such, like in case of golden rice we get what say it is like beta carotene. Actually beta carotene is not available in normal rice, but through this technique we can able to add beta carotene in rice, okay, without taking tomato or other vegetables, carrot or other things. We can get enough amount of beta carotene. So this is the idea behind that. Likewise, there are several countries working on several plants: cassava, beans, maize, pearl millet, sweet potato, rice, wheat in different countries. In case of India, so we people work with rice and wheat to incorporate zinc incorporating gene. So in the rice, so zinc is incorporated. The gene responsible for zinc absorption is added to improve the nutrient improvement. And likewise, salinity stress. Normally we cannot grow all the plants in salinity, high saline areas, but there are plants living in the salt areas by using special mechanism. If we can understand the mechanism and if we can isolate the gene responsible for salinity tolerance or salinity resistant, we can able to incorporate those genes into our crop plants, and obviously we can produce salt tolerant crop varieties. So that may be useful to cultivate salt tolerant rice or wheat or any other crop plants in coastal area. Normally they are barren lands. We cannot cultivate anything by which we can grow any crop plants. We can get something from that. In the same way, drought tolerant corn is produced, that is also available. Normally, drought tolerant plants are dwarf, short in nature because of the stress in the environment or water shortage. But if you see the normal variety, they are growing higher. At the same time, they are not tolerant to drought. So when we get genes from a drought variety and incorporate into the uh, sensitive variety, drought sensitive variety, so we can get corn is produced. This way, we can produce lot of things. Next to that, vaccine production. Vaccine, we have two types of vaccines. Vaccine is produced through microbiologically nowadays. Previously through animal origin. By using animals, we are producing. Very recently, we are using bacteria. So we are producing vaccine, but we can also produce vaccine through plants. So same technique like candidate gene and plant expression vector. Through vectors, we can incorporate the gene responsible for vaccine production, and we can able to produce transgenic plant, and so we can get fruits out of that plant like banana and other fruits. So along with the fruit with the nutrient, so obviously we can get good variety, not only nutritious, tasty, also vaccine. And another type of vaccine production is TMV. Hepatitis vaccine can also be produced through plant. So this is the picture shows how the TMV genome is the particular gene is extracted, incorporated into the plant genome, and they are grown along with the plant height or plant growth. You will also get vaccine that can be purified, extracted, purified, so we can make use of those products. So these are the benefits we have. Overall, GM crop varieties produce lot of benefits like improved resistance to pest and diseases, improved resistance to herbicide, increased crop productivity. For example, by introducing drought resistant gene or any other salt tolerant gene, etc., etc., and production of more nutritious crops. In the sense, proteins, vitamins, or vaccines can be produced in addition to normal nutrient available in that crop, contributing to the alleviation of poverty and hunger. So obviously, when we control pest problem and herbs problem, we can able to produce more. Obviously, poverty and hunger can be eliminated or eradicated. And another advantage of GM crop is that stable and sustainable food production. This is another advantage. Normally, we cultivate plants only in a certain period or some season, not throughout the year. But by using GM crops, we can able to produce any crop throughout the year. This is the major advantage of GM crops. GM crops may have longer shelf life, so they are prone to less spoilage. So this is another advantage. Normal tomato may spoil within few days, but if you go for GM variety, so we can store up to 3 months. In case of apple, so it is more. So there are so many advantages over normal crop plants and their products, and they are also economically cheaper because our pesticide usage will be reduced, and the people, those who are cultivating the plants, will get more benefit because they'll get more yield. They don't have a pest problem and all. That's why obviously they are going to be very, very useful to the society or the people, farmer, those who are growing on it. Impacts of biotech, the same thing. When we use biotech plants, crop plants, we can reduce 37 percentage of pesticide usage than normal plant. In case of yield, 22 percentage is increased than normal yield because of uh, reduction of pest problem and other problems. And coming to the economic benefit, obviously 68% of economic benefit, that is increase in farmer income, is assured because of so many advantages over normal plants. And I cannot promote or de-promote GM products. As of scientists say, 88% of American scientists polled by Pew Research Center in a survey released in 2015 said GM foods are safe. So likewise, so many scientists from so many countries, they are doing research, lot of research in various plants. They are giving positive results on GM crop varieties. And we should never forget the risk of GMOs. Okay, so we had seen the beneficial effects of GMOs. So there are risks also available. We need to consider those things also. So they are like human health, and they are also environmental hazards too. Hazards sometimes effects on non-target organisms. We'll see everything one by one. And biotech companies hold monopolies over crop use, and different governments have different opinion over regulatory standards concerning safe usage. So these are the risks we have. We'll see one by one. Coming to the human health, new traits could cause adverse health reactions. So for example, new protein may cause allergic response due to unknown toxin, because we extract gene from a particular organism, unknown organism, we are incorporating into a plant, and the gene and the gene product will be protein only. If the gene protein is toxic to insect or pest or whatever it may be, or virus, obviously the same protein can be toxic to us also. So this is unexpected toxic effect. Sometimes it may cause allergic reaction to human. So this is why many people are afraid of consuming GM varieties. And next one is antibiotic resistant. If you see the tobacco plant, first plant, transgenic plant was drug resistant, antibiotic resistant tobacco plant was produced. So when people consume tobacco GM variety, so that are resistant to antibiotic, so obviously they will get resistant so to that particular antibiotic. So after many years of consumption, people may get not the people, the microorganisms reside in our body may get resistant to that particular antibiotic. In that case, there may not be any antibiotic available for us. So in that case, it will be a serious issue. And unknown effects of human health. So this is another problem. Till now, many it is like 50-50. Some people say they are harmful, and some scientists and some other corporate companies or some seed company, GM seed companies say they are safe. So even now we are in confused state only. And coming to the environmental hazards, crops may limit biodiversity of local environment, like increased competition with native species, because these plants will grow better than the wild variety or normal variety in that case. So they will find difficulty to survive in the natural environment. This is another problem. And cross pollination could lead to super weeds. Pollination and superweed problem, superbug or superweed is another problem due to cross pollination. The pollen grains will not fertilize only that particular plant, so it may accidentally pass through the normal variety or some other plants. They may damage those plants also. So growing of GM crop may lead to monoculture. So obviously GM crop variety will give us best result. That's why what farmers will do is that, so they will go for cultivating only this particular crop. In that case, other crop or mixed cultivation or multiple crop cultivation may not be there. Monoculture leads to catastrophe in the near future. This is another problem. If you see the diagram, you can see how the pollen grains and the plant materials transfer through land as well as the water body. They are also killing the beneficial and non-target caddis fly. Okay, not only the pest but also the beneficial organisms. So beneficial organisms are many. Okay, so we have so many plant varieties. Bees like honey bees, so they are the good pollinators. They are also killed by using pest resistant varieties. When we grow pest resistant crop varieties, other beneficial insects, I have given the list: spined soldier bug, grounded beetle bug, ladybug, syrphid fly, braconid wasp, green lacewing, so praying mantis. So in the land, earthworm, nematode also living in the soil. So they all will be killed directly or indirectly. And fish and other wildlife will be killed or damaged in the nearby water body. Humans will also be affected knowingly or unknowingly. So these are the problems we have. And coming to the biotech companies, I have given the list like BASF, Syngenta, DuPont, Dow, Monsanto. So like so many companies are there. Monsanto is very famous company, seed company, and they are producing GM seeds. The problem is to the farmers. So the patent is with the GM companies. So farmers can cultivate GM crop plants, but they are not allowed to cultivate by themselves. Okay, always they need to depend on the companies for seeds because of gene terminator technology. This is a problematic one. So another type of people, a group of people say GMs are not going to solve nutrition problem or feed the world. They are about corporate control and profit. Okay, anyhow they are doing everything for business only, not for service, they say. And do GM crops increase yield? Obviously, yes. So there is no doubt about it. GM crops will yield better than the normal crop variety. But if you see the present status of food production, so we are producing enough food quantity, like whatever food available now can be used to feed 13 billion people. Okay, so it is expected that by 2050 9 billion people will be there. Okay, so our production capacity is more than our requirement, but the problem is that access uh, access to it by the poor. Okay, so I'll explain you in detail in the next slide. So we have GM crops increased global food security. We cannot say. For example, in Paraguay, where nearly 65% of the land is under genetically modified crop cultivation, but if you see the hunger rate, it is increased from 12.6% in 2004 to 6 to 25.5% in 2010 to 12. Okay, so GM crop plant and the area of production and the productivity, everything is increased. But if you see the hunger and poorness, more people are going to hunger or undernourished or uh, malnutrition, etc. So why it is so? So here is the answer. In developed countries, most of the people are overweight or obese. But in poor countries and developing countries, most of the people are undernourished or micronutrient deficient. So from this, what we can tell is that so food production is enough. We have enough quantity of food production, but the supply chain is not there. Okay, so rich countries or developed countries are producing huge quantity of food, but that is not available to the poor and the developing countries. So that is the major problem, but not the food production. And another major drawback to GM crop is that so they have taken so many surveys with the people. So they say more than 59% of the people gave negative answer to GM crops. So they are not ready to accept GM crop. Only 8% of people accepted. They are ready to accept GM crops, and 15% of people say they don't want to say anything, and 5% of people doesn't know anything about it, and 13% of people show mixed reaction. So in the right picture you can see, so always there is opposition. Okay, even in India people oppose genetically modified crops, even though we have it. BT cotton we are the world leader of crop cotton production, but we are not ready to accept BT cotton, BT brinjal, and mustard. So this indicates that so our people are not ready to accept GM because it is something abnormal or something different. It's not natural. So from this, what I am coming to say is that I cannot say that the GMO is good or bad. We have the technology. We can able to do anything, whatever we want. We can able to produce salt tolerant varieties, drought